Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cycle, and this is Let's Play Train Simulator. Another 175 journey on South Wales Coastal today in the Cheltenham Spa to Maesteg, or Maesteg service. That is what we're doing today. This is apparently a level 4 scenario. And you notice that later on we have a level 5 with a class 70 there. So, in other words, easy. And there's a level 4 high-speed train service coming up later as well. And those are 60-minute services, those two. As is the first of those 60-minute services at level 3. We have another level 3 service, 50 minutes, for a class 70 as well. So this is apparently one of the... this is apparently the hardest 175 service on this scenario. If we can do this 35-minute scenario, it should be a clear sailing for the other one, number 6 later. And maybe even for number 5. So let's see how this one works. This because of the storms causing havoc with the timetable, which is basically going to screw with how things work in this scenario. We have to pay attention and keep an eye on what's going on. It is 11:37. It is daytime. We're not going to have an issue with daylight in this scenario obscuring things. I might have an issue with the sun peering in my window from time to time, but that's another story on my computer screen. So storms overnight have caused havoc with the timetable. It's only now starting to recover. You are following a late-running freight to drive this Cheltenham to Maesteg service between Caldicot and Cardiff Central on a blustery autumn day. So that's what's so hard about it. We're following a class 70. We're actually following the freight train. So we're going to have to deal with the fact that it's going to slow down in advance of signals earlier because it's hauling freight and it has to slow down. It might also be at a slower speed because, you know, it might not be allowed to go up to 95 itself. It might be limited to 75. So we might have a hard time getting up to full speed on this route. We'll find out as we go. Let's get started. Welcome aboard 2L53, operating an Arriva Trains Wales service from Cheltenham Spa to Maesteg. Damage from an overnight storm has disrupted services this morning. We'll do our best to minimize delays to your service. Set the train up and get going when ready. This service, ladies and gentlemen, is not one that I recommend doing. I'm going to show you how you can do this service and get maybe not 1,000 points, but as close as possible to it. But this scenario is not properly timed at all. This is a scenario that takes place in the autumn. Leaves are on the line, already causing wheel slip on the line. It's also raining. So you're basically looking at a situation where you're expected to slow down and get up to speed in certain ways that are not safe to do so. I'm just going to say that right now. It's not safe to do it the way that this game wants you to, and you have to literally game the scenario, game the signals, and do things in a way that are not safe. And I just don't approve of that. So you're going to see what I mean as we go along. I'm going to be sitting at Severn Tunnel Junction a little longer than normal. And you're going to understand why in a moment when we get there. I'll explain that as we go. In the meantime, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for train number 70012, which I believe is just cleared. So I can go ahead and go to a level 1 throttle right now just to speed things up so I can get to the station quicker. I'm going to pump it up to level 2, level 3 so I can get some speed quicker. We already know the brakes are going to be iffy. I'm not going to go to level 4 throttle because we'll still get wheel slip. So we already know the brakes are going to be iffy, but because of the amount of time we have for this, we have to do a little bit of wheel slip acceleration here. That's the only way to get to this station in a reasonable amount of time. So there's Caldicot. We're going to go via the Caldicot, but we're going to be picking up at Severn Tunnel Junction. We'll look at the rest of the itinerary later. For right now, let's get this down to a level 1 throttle. I've taken the sand off. You have to run sand, by the way, when you throttle up here. Otherwise, you're going to have wheel slip. And you know what wheel slip means. No more perfect score. Now, there are people who I chat with in Discord who are going to say, why do you put yourself through this trouble? Because I want to show that it can be done. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, it's ridiculous. But it can be done. And I'm going to find out if that is the case. So that's what I'm out to prove right now. I've done some practice runs to see how much brake power you can get with applying sand and without applying sand. I know you can get a 40% brake with no problem coming into a station. So as long as you're applying the sand. 40% without sand, wheel slip. So you're not going to have good brakes if you don't apply your sand. So I'm going to abuse the sand on this scenario, and that's really the only way to play this scenario. Abuse the heck out of that sand for your stops. Otherwise, you're going to be late, 100% late. So I'm going to apply, thank you, I'm going to apply some brakes now. We're going through Caldicot now, good time to start applying the brakes. We're 3/4 of a mile from Severn Tunnel Junction Station. I'm going to put a little more brakes on. 22% is safe without having wheel slip. I think you can go a little higher, maybe 25, but I'm not going to risk it without holding sand down. So I'm starting to apply some brakes now. We have to be there at 11:42. As long as we are there by 11:42 and 59 seconds, we are safe. We can proceed. Not a problem. This is probably the easiest stop of the entire run. And by the way, I have not done the last part of the run to Cardiff Central yet. I've only done the part up to Newport. That's why I can tell you this is hard. Cardiff Central, you have a lot of time between those stops, and I assume that it's possible to do this a lot easier. So you're going to understand later on why I am so incensed about this scenario. So I've taken the brakes off for now. Gonna reapply them now. I'm going to try to let the train get to the end of the platform. I should be okay doing that. I'm going to get fairly close, actually, so I'm taking the brakes off a little now, reapplying them. There's a train going by over there. I didn't see who it was. You notice I've taken the brakes off again. This is intended. Alright, let's put them on now. We're going to go ahead and open the doors. Arrival at Severn Tunnel Junction, Platform 1. And the doors are now open. Passenger boarding is complete. Proceed when ready. I'm going to emphasize the when ready part. Let's take a quick look at our train and just look at... by the way, we're going to take a look at the station sign, because this is the old South Wales Coastal Station sign. When you got to see the Arriva train logo branding on it. So the route no longer has this branding on it. So you can't get that on the route anymore. Meanwhile, the Arriva Trains Wales trains, this is also not available anymore. Basically, this train you can only get now with this branding from Armstrong Powerhouse, and the way that you would do that is through a branding patch. So you would actually have to buy that version of the train and then get a branding patch. You'll also get a number of other liveries of the 175 as well, so it goes beyond Arriva, which this DLC only gives you Arriva. But you can get the branding patch and apply branding to all the trains in that pack. He has determined that it's safe to do this, and I'm going to trust his judgment on this. He's determined it's safe to do this because he does not sell the branding patch. You have to go out of your way to download it for free. Otherwise, if you play the pack as without the branding patch, there's no logos. Trust me, I've looked at the HAA pack or the HHA pack. That's exactly how it works. His original pack has no logos. You have to use the branding patch to apply the logos. So this is how people giving that part away for free is how people can get around running the putting the logos on the trains. At the same time, though, the argument could be made that you have to actually buy the pack to use the branding patch, and therefore you're still selling it. I'm going to let legal people sort that out. That's not my business. He could remove that branding patch at any time, and even if he's forced to, then someone else is probably just going to put it up somewhere, so there's no point even fighting it at this point, I would imagine. Because at this point, people are going to just share that branding patch around black market style behind the scenes. So notice I left at exactly 11:44 and 20 seconds. I've been playing around with this scenario to find the exact time that I should leave here and run the next part to a certain speed. So I've determined that I want to leave at 11:44:20 and then proceed to Bishton, at which point at Bishton I will increase my speed to 90 miles per hour. That is the objective at this point. By doing that, I should be able to get past the red signal as it turns green. There's a red signal up ahead that I'm going to show you. That was 7009 passing us. Let me show you what else we have going on. There's 7009 right there, actually. No, that was actually a different train, sorry. What's going on? Where are we? Sorry, that was 7005. 7009 is coming up. And there's 70012, all these numbers, heading off into the relief track. Here's 703. This is the train that we're going to be waiting for right here. We're waiting for him. He's starting moving right now. He's going to eventually come along here. He, however, or she, also has to wait for this person, 43018, to run along. So it's a bit of a complicated area that we have here. There's the junction that 43018 is going to go through is currently set for that train. 7003 will follow behind it on the same track. We have to wait for 7003 to clear out. However, we're going to do this in a way that is not normally advisable to do. It is not. If you do this in a real train and you chance signals in a real train, you better lose your job. So what I'm doing right now is something which should cost me my job if that was a real life situation. But we're not able to complete this scenario with a perfect score without doing this. And even doing this, it may not be possible. We're going to find out. We're going to run an experiment with this. We're going to find out. I have been practicing with my sudden braking here, and if I find out that it's not possible to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and do the run to Cardiff and not care, because I have not actually done the part to Cardiff. I'm trying to figure out if this part can be done right now. You're going to see the result of this right now. I'm done with the scenario, so you're going to see the result of my experiments right now. So there's 7009, I believe I said. I didn't know there were that many Class 70s running up here today. Nowadays with COVID, there's a lot less demand for things, so with COVID having happened, so a lot of freight trains don't run. The fact that this many freight trains are running in this scenario seems to me to be unrealistic at this time. So maybe back then they did run this many trains per day because there was a lot more demand, there was a lot more jobs, and there was a lot more of things going on. But as soon as COVID hit and the train timetable cut, so did the freight timetable. Because there was not that much demand for services anymore. There was not much demand with people being out of their jobs. They were basically hunkering down, not doing anything. So they weren't out buying stuff except for maybe grocery products. So the freight trains that do grocery products, they might still run, but a lot of them use trucks now. A lot of those places use trucks. So you're going to find a truck of pineapples instead of a trainload of pineapples. Using that as an example. So we're going to go via the Bishton down main. And we're going to be going via the Usk down main afterwards. Notice that that's about 3.5 miles down the line. A little more, I make that 4.5 miles down the line. The signal we are going to be passing is a little more than a mile away from that point. The signal that I'm trying to gain is before that. And we have now passed Bishton. I'm holding off for a moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to a level 4 throttle. And I'm going to try to get that speed up to 90 miles per hour. Like I said, if you do this in real life, what I'm about to do, stop driving. This is merely for purpose of demonstration in a career scenario. I'm maintaining level 4 throttle for a moment longer. I'm going to cut it off around 85, start dialing it back a little bit. So right about now is a good time to start dialing it back. Going to dial it back to a level 2 throttle now. Right now. And one more. Actually, we're at a high enough speed I might not be able to maintain speed on a level 1 throttle. Notice, by the way, we're going to have our yellow signal now. So I'm going to go ahead and idle right now. How are we doing up here? How are we doing up here? This is almost perfect. Almost perfect. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. And hope that it remains perfect. It just changed. We should be good for our signal in a second. The junction has changed, so that's what I care about right now. And if we look at the signal up ahead, you're going to see it has indeed changed green for us. So I could have gained about another 10 seconds doing it a little bit differently. Could have gained maybe 10 seconds, and it would have changed as we reached it. But as it stands, we're going to take this. I'm going to lower the speed a little bit now by getting down to 75. And back off the brakes. There we go. So I'm down to 75 in time. I'm now going to try to reach the 40 in time. I know from how I've been playing this, how this scenario plays, that I have 2.5 minutes to make this stop. I don't believe it is possible, ladies and gentlemen. It is not possible to make this stop on time. I'm going to try to maintain as much speed as I can here. So I'm going to maintain that level 1 throttle a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to cut it off now. I'm going to go ahead and drop my speed now. So I'm going to go to about a 30, well, that's 32. I'll take it. 32% application. I am applying sand, by the way. I'm holding down the sand button because I don't believe it's possible to make this brake application without sand in this scenario, which shows you how ridiculous this is. Little more brakes. And that's about as perfect as you can do it. So I've taken the sand off for a moment since I'm not braking anymore. That line goes to Cardiff, Queen Street. Oh, no, sorry, that's a different one. That's a different line. I'm thinking the wrong line. My apologies. So we're going to do another brake application now. I'm just going to do the light brake application here because we're only going down 10 miles at this point, but we are going to have to stop as well. So I am planning for a stop as well. I have half a minute to make my stop. So I've applied sand again. I have brakes on to make sure I fall under. And I'm going to get into the station. I'm going to hit the brakes really hard now. I'm a little bit early, so I have to let them off a wee bit. Now I'm going to hit the brakes really hard again. And the harder the better at this point, without wheel slip. 50%, about as high as I dare to go. I'm going to open the door as soon as I get there. Whatever we have is whatever we have. That's what we're going to work with. Am I on time? Let's find out. I'm almost fully in the platform too, which is better than I expected. So doors are open at 11:55:24. Arrival at Newport, platform 1. Passenger boarding is complete. Proceed when ready. As you can see, I've now scientifically proven that you cannot complete this scenario with a perfect score. You notice I had a 20-point penalty. Apparently I was 20 seconds late on the adjusted time that I was allowed to arrive. Well, I'm so sorry that this scenario was done so badly in terms of timings that it's not possible. I'm sorry about that. DTG, that one's on you. Anyway, moving along. We're going to go ahead and leave Newport Platform 2. Our next stop and final stop is Cardiff Central. I will be honest with you though, I did try running this once, and I did not simply stop because something stupid happened. I stopped because it was an AI collision. So this is a very badly timed and buggy scenario. I'm going to explain, I'm going to get myself up to 30, I'm going to eventually get myself up to 50. As I get into the next section after that for the 75, I will tell you exactly what is going on. So I'm going to watch my speed for right now. So there's the 75 up ahead. I think the junction just changed for us, actually. Because I did not see that sign a moment ago. So, speed off. We have to hold it off for a second as I enter the 50. Back on it goes. We're going to come to the 75. And when we get to the 75, I'm actually going to go ahead and do a sand increase of speed right now. So I'm going to increase the speed with my sand. Because I'm realizing I'm going to have to do this as quickly as possible to see if I can maintain the appropriate level of speed here to try to do this as efficiently as possible. Now knowing there's an AI collision as you get towards Cardiff Central. Fun times. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the throttle completely at this point. And apparently I'm still gaining speed. Excellent. I'm on a 1 in 105 downhill gradient right now, so I was gaining speed there. I still am. So I have to actually cut it back a little bit now. Now I can go ahead and let it increase. And on that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and use my full throttle again to get myself into the 75 area. After I get towards 75, I will cut it off and show you what I think is going on. Okay, I'm going to get to 75, then I'm going to go ahead and drop the throttle back to throttle 1. Actually, you know what? I can probably take it to about 80, 85. So I'm going to keep going, and then I'll explain what's going on. I am holding the sand down just as a precaution. I don't want wheel slip penalties. I want to see if a gold star can still be done. And based on what I'm seeing, if it can be done, it's going to be by avoiding this AI collision I now know happens. So that's going to be the only way it can be done. Okay, so I'm going to dial it back now. I'm going to leave it on maybe a level 2 throttle. That should be good, I believe. And let's take a look at what is going to happen up ahead here. Because when I previously played this scenario, there were 2 trains that had an AI collision up here. I'm trying to find them right now. One of them is not that train. That train's going to leave. So that's not one of the ones that's having an AI collision. The ones that are going to have an AI collision, that's 1-4. So it is not involved. And there's nothing down here. So looking further down the route here, I'm looking for two specific trains. That's 70019. This is idle stock. That's a piece of idle stock in the siding here, so I'm not worried about that. I'm looking for 43098, which I believe has already passed. I think we passed that train earlier because we're about to pass this train. This is someone else. There he goes. But I know 175115 was one of the trains that gave me a problem, and I'm trying to find where that train is right now. 175115 is one of the trains that gave me the problem. So if I can find at least that train, there's a possibility that I can try to catch this happening. This is all user stock. There's 70013 still going ahead, so it's not doing anything else. 70005 has not left the scenario, neither has 70003. They're all still going on their path. Back here, meanwhile, 7009 also has not portaled out of the map, so it's taken a turn. It will be heading towards a portal. I don't know where this other train is. I honestly don't know what trains are supposed to have the problem here at this point. 175115 is one of them, but that's 14. That's 11. 43098 is one of the problem trains. That is a problem train. Hit that quickly. Thank you. We're being warned for a 75. So 43098 is one of the problem trains. I do know this. So I'm going to try to start slowing down if I can. And not be able to, apparently. Boy, I'm going to do that badly. So one of the problem trains is the one right at the end of the route. 43098 is going to be a problem. So somehow something is going to have an AI collision with that, trying to leave on that track. I don't know what. It could be 14 doing something leaving on that track. I have no idea. But somehow a train is going to come along, numbered 175115. There I am. And it's going to have an AI collision with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep an eye on Cardiff Central. And I'm going to... as I get down to 40, I'm going to take a closer look and see where that other train might be coming from. What I'm wondering is whether that train might not be in this run of the scenario, because I saw 175115 was the other train, but I can't find it now, so I don't know where it's coming from. I honestly don't know where it is. I don't think that's my train. My train is something else. Like, that's the back of the train, actually. My train is someone else. So my number is not showing up. Excellent. What is my train number? Can I find out? 175101 is who I am. So there you go. So once again, keeping an eye on the map. I'm watching for another train to come along here. There's no one else here. He's just sitting there. We're getting our warning for the 40-mile-per-hour speed restriction. As I do that, I'm keeping an eye on everything back here to see what 43098 does. Meanwhile, I'm going to start braking for that 40 about now, I believe. So I'm down in time. Is anybody heading towards this train? What track is he on? He's on the right track. There's no one here. No one is here. So if this AI collision happens again, there's a serious problem. I mean, this stop is possible. There's our yellow signal. We have a double yellow coming into the platform, so I'm going to have to slow down a little bit coming in. I'm going to have to slow down to a 20 anyway, so I'm going to start doing that. Now that train that just went by the way, that was, where is he? 175111, so he's going the other way. Nobody is here. This train apparently has an AI collision. That is a double yellow. So the signal protecting the platform has now changed to allow us in. That means that somehow there must be a train leaving that platform that somehow hits that train. Is that what happens? I don't know at this point. Nobody's there. I don't see a train. Thank you. Warning of the 20. Now, I did this run a little faster this time, so it is possible the AI collision could happen still at any moment here. It could still happen at any moment, so I'm keeping an eye back here, off and on. So you're going to find this scenario is a lot of this, unfortunately. There's our warning for a yellow signal. I can go ahead and increase the throttle a little bit here to make sure I get in a little quicker. This stop can be made in plenty of time, assuming we can get to the platform. This stop is not a problem. I can see that already. Still no one here. I don't know how it had an AI collision before. I honestly don't. And now I'm apparently speeding. I'm in a 15. I don't really care at this point. I mean, once the perfect score is not possible, I don't care if I'm speeding. As long as I don't kill it. Taking one more peek up there, everything's fine. The train would have to come in at the portal to actually cause an AI collision. Anyway, we're at the station. I'm going to go ahead and use some sand to increase our brake application and bring it back off. So let the train come to a stop gently. Open the doors and we will be done this scenario. Let's take a look at the outside, shall we? So as we finish looking at the coins and cards vending machine or whatever this is here, a few people walking by, we're gonna wait for the train to close its doors and hopefully we don't have an AI collision as the scenario ends, because I am fully expecting an AI collision right now to end the scenario. But anyway, the scenario is now complete. As soon as we get our pop-up box saying congratulations, and we're going to see how we did. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can support my work on Patreon in finding all the broken stuff here. And you can also join my Discord server. Please do that. I'd love to have more people on my server. I'd love to get some activity there going because there's not a lot of people there right now. So please join us and chat. Great work. All tasks completed successfully. Let's see how well you did. I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly before we have a collision somewhere. Anyway, let's find out. So I have 2 achievements as a result of that. Halfway there for the scenarios and achievement for the getting 750 points on this scenario, which seems to be a bit of an unfair achievement to have here because the scenario is so badly timed. I mean, yes, I got 4 points for speeding. Like I said, I don't care. I already found a perfect score wasn't possible, so I didn't care at that point. 998 would have been my best with those speeding penalties. But as you can see, I did that timing absolutely perfectly. And I know I did it about as perfectly the other times, just not going 90, more trying to go 60 and 75 through that signal. And it was just a little bit slower and a little more point penalty as a result. But I did this in the most drastic, unsafe way you possibly could without penalizing yourself, and it was still not possible to get a perfect score. So there you go. If you find it's not possible to get a perfect score on a scenario, it may not be you, it may be the game. Don't worry about that. This is the first one like that on this route. I hate when it happens, but you know what? It's scientific evidence that it happens. Anyway, that is, as the goal says, halfway there. We have half the scenarios remaining. What are we going to do next time? The next scenario is going to be a Class 70 scenario from to Southampton MCT from Wentlug Sidings, which is along this route. Will be a low priority train. Now, I don't know where the train will terminate. I assume it's going to terminate at Bristol Temple Meads or somewhere along the way, because or maybe a Bristol Parkway, I'm not sure, because Southampton is definitely not on this route. It is a much different route. So we're going to be heading in that direction, in the direction of Southampton from Wentlug Sidings. And then we're going to come back into the Class 175 for one more service, 2U20, between Bristol Temple Meads and Cardiff Central. That will be a full run. The final run of the day in that case, and also a full run of the route. So we're going to finally get to see the entire route from start to finish. Hopefully we have better weather, and hopefully the timing is better so that we can talk more about some of the stuff on the route as we go by. But right before we get to that, we do have the first of the Class 70 scenarios. You'll notice we have not driven the HST on this route yet. It is the final scenario. I'm going to go in numbered order. It is the final scenario. Okay, so I decided to do a little bit of research after finishing the scenario, and obviously this is Future Cyclone here. You're going to be looking right now at something that I have literally created. And I've done this for a number of other scenarios as well. I could bring up different files, but I've only set my OBS to look at this one right now, so you're seeing this one over everything else. And open the other ones I can't show you unless I change my view, which I really don't want to do. But what I am going to show you is the two trains that actually caused the AI collision, and then I'm going to show you the AI collision. That's what I'm going to do here. So what this file is, I'm going to zoom into 200%. I'm going to go down to a certain part of the file here. So this is what, I don't know why I have a minus sign here, but let's get rid of that. So what you're seeing here, and ignore the idle stock things, I didn't talk about any of that. So what you're seeing here is the name of the scenario, the train I'm driving, the kind of train it is, number of cars in it, where I start, which is the Severn Tunnel Junction. That is obviously a 35-minute scenario, which I copied that and the date. So it took place on September 7th, 2016. There you go. Apparently it was a rainy day on September 7th, 2016. And it shows each of the trains that start. For example, you might remember 70003, which was a 70 Freightliner. It was starting at the Usk Yard. We had to wait for that train. We have the train it had to wait for, 43018. It was starting at Newport. So it came from Newport for 70003 to wait for, and so on and so forth. So all the trains in the scenario are in this list. So here's what's interesting. Notice this one. I bolded the two in question. Notice this 175115, and notice that it's at Cardiff Central Platform 2. By the way, if you don't know how to select two items at a time in Word, hold the Control key. It works. Hold the Control key to do that. So 175115 and Cardiff Central Platform 2. That is where it starts. Now, when I was looking through the map at the end of the scenario on the run that you're seeing, you're going to notice that that train is not showing up at Cardiff Central Platform 2 at all. I don't know where it is. It's gone. It's completely vanished. I don't know where it is. And for that reason, I'm confused as to what happened to it. So I guess it started up, it went off the map, but I do not understand for the life of me why it caused an AI collision 9 minutes after it was supposed to start, because it would have taken off and gone past us or something like that. And I'm a little puzzled as to where it went. So here's the train that we saw at the end of the route. I focused on this one because I did see this one during the run. So I just added this because normally that's not there at the end of the route. That's normally the underline is for something that's not on a marker. At the end of the route is not a marker. So I put that in just for the purpose of telling you what that is. 43098 was at that location. Somehow, 43098 must have started up on that run. I don't know how, because it didn't move in the run that you're seeing. but somehow it must have started moving, or 175115 must have idled at the station for a while, then started moving. 43098 was on the correct track at the end of the route, so that was not the issue. The issue was that somehow 175115 must have taken off and gone down that wrong track. It must have taken the wrong track and ran into it. I don't know why. I don't know how. It just did. And I for the life of me, I don't know why. So, yeah, I just want to research that and see and make sure that was where it came from. Because you may remember Southern Connection. There was a train that got itself stuck at the Norwood Junction in Southern Connection. And that train was supposed to be the one that you finish up next to at Victoria Station. So somehow it just showed up there. It never went anywhere, and it caused an AI collision that was unrecoverable. I had to start that scenario over after 3 attempts, and needless to say, I was not in the best of moods that day by the time that was done. So I was glad that was out of the way. But this one was a case that it just somehow randomly decided to cause the AI collision. I don't know how those two trains end up in the same area. I haven't researched in the scenario to see what path each one takes, but there you go. You're free to look that up if you want to, if you're curious. My opinion still remains unchanged. You're not going to want to play this scenario for scoring. You can get a gold star. I've shown you you can get a gold star. I have the 978. It should have been 982 if I wasn't speeding. But I have the 978, easy gold star. You can still do that. But you cannot get a perfect score, so if you're in this for perfect score scenarios, that one is one to avoid. But it's still a good scenario to get used to driving in the rain with a train like that. And it's just I don't know how realistic the mechanics are. So maybe someone else can tell me how realistic the mechanics are. I don't know. In any case, I'm going to show you now the AI collision between those two trains. Once again, you're going to notice it's 43098 and 175115. Those two trains are going to have a collision. I'm not going to see the collision. I'm only going to see that my scenario ended. So here that is. Have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is for your part of the world. Like, subscribe, support if you want on Patreon. Join the Discord. I'll see you next time. I'm Cyclone. Here's the clip. Bye-bye. I mean, it's only about 1/1500ths of a mile, but still. I imagine it'll be enough time because we're going to be coasting at this point. I actually took it off. What the heck? 43098 and 175115 had an AI collision. What on earth?